Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Tucker Carlson talking to Tom Homan, the incredible border czar. I haven't even seen him in action yet. He's already incredible with everything he said, with everything, his resume. He's just the guy for the job. Now, what he's going to be talking about in these couple clips that I have from this interview is about the mayors and governors of Democrat-run cities and states that think that they're going to stand against him. As Gavin Newsom said, they're going to Trump-proof themselves from letting Tom Homan and all of his officers into their states and cities. It's not really going to happen, but Tom Homan has a message for him. And after these two clips, I'm going to be playing a bunch of other things that Tom Homan has said. And one mayor who got the message loud and clear that he will be going to jail if he stands up against Tom Homan. Amazing stuff. Let's get right into it.
Who supposedly speak for black people, they sold them right out, actually, fact.
And the violence in these communities, and we're trying to address the violence. Mayor Adams finally gets it, I think, but we'll see what he actually does. But you got the mayor of Chicago. Chicago, the crime rate is extremely high in Chicago, right? We know the shootings are outrageous. And what we're saying to him, President Trump and myself have been very clear. We want to prioritize those illegally in the country. There are public safety threats. That's what we want to target first because they're the most dangerous to our community. Public safety threats and national security threats. Why would any elected mayor of a city with a crime rate as high as they have not want public safety threats taken out of their communities, especially if they're here illegally? There's no sense, you would think the mayor of Chicago's number one responsibility is the safety of his community. Why not help me take those public safety threats out of the community? ICE agents aren't allowed to take a step into Cook County Jail, one of the biggest county jails in the country, where we used to get hundreds of illegal alien criminals out. We can't even step foot in that. They won't honor an ICE detainer. They much rather release that public safety threat back in the community to reoffend. And where is he likely to reoffend? The immigrant community where he lives.
But I don't understand. I mean, so when South Carolina tried this in 1861 at Fort Sumter, it kicked off a civil war. When Central High School tried this in 1957 in Little Rock, Arkansas, Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne. You can't allow states to ignore federal law. I'm trying not to use the F word here. So how is that not an act of insurrection? I don't understand. If a mayor or a governor says, we're going to ignore federal law and there's nothing you can't come into our facility, how about you get a SEAL team and go to the facility? I mean, how is that allowed? That is insurrection.
And
am I missing something? I thought this is the way the system worked.
And that's why I've been out there taking a lot of hate the last 3 weeks, saying, okay, well.
You're taking hate from the insurrectionists?
Yeah, which I'll wear as a badge of honor. I've been out there saying one thing to the mayor of Denver, right? To the mayor of Chicago, and to Governor Pritzker and the rest of them. You cannot help. You can choose not to help us. Stand aside because we're going to do it. However, there's a line you can't cross. If you're going to impede what we're doing, that's a felony. If you're going to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE agents, USC 1324 III, that's a felony. And we will prosecute. We're done playing the game. There are federal statutes on the books, written by Congress, enacted by Congress, signed by a president, said this is a felony to do these things, and we're going to take that seriously. And we got a strong AG coming in, Pam Bondi. I think will back me up on this. You can help it. You can sit aside and watch us do your work for you. Fine, you do it. But here's a message. No one's asking you to be immigration officers. What we're asking is give us access to the taxpayer-funded jail where you already locked somebody in a jail cell because apparently they're a public safety threat. When you're done with them, simply give them to us. And we'll remove them not only from the community, from the country. Because when you don't, and here's what they're going to get exactly what they don't want by taking this stance. You don't let me in the jail to arrest a bad guy, where one agent can arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a county jail where we know he don't have access to weapons. You're going to release him back in the community. You're endangering the community, the immigrant community, because most likely to reoffend in that community. You're endangering our officers, and you're endangering that alien because things could happen when you make an arrest in a public setting. We have access to who knows what weapons, right? So what's Tom Homan going to do? We're going to send more agents to the community. We're going to find a guy. So that means I got to send a whole team to the community to find him. We send a team because of officer safety concerns. I'm going to send a whole team to find him. When we find him, he's probably going to be with others. Others that are not necessarily an operational priority. But guess what? ICE agents aren't going to be told to turn their back on any illegal alien. So we're going to find the bad guy and anybody else around him. So by your actions of not letting me in that county jail means more agents in your neighborhood, a lot more agents in your neighborhood, and a lot more arrests, and many non-priority arrests. You want to play the game, we're going to play the game. That's the result you're going to get. But I can't believe to this day that there's any elected governor, if Governor Pritzker says, you got to come through me, okay? No problem, we can do that. Why would you not want to help remove public safety threats?
Well, but
this should be no question.
If
you're going to have your opinion on illegal immigration. We're talking about criminals.
Well, to the extent that he allows officers in his state to violate federal law, Pritzker's a criminal. I mean, any governor who willingly flouts federal law, again, this is why we had a civil war in the United States in 1861, because South Carolina did this. So I don't know why we would ever put up with that for 1 second from any governor, a Republican or Democrat.
President Trump administration will not put up with it. And that's why I've been sending a warning shot out. This is not going to be tolerated. We're going to take action. American lives are at stake here. And this president, I think, has been given a mandate by American people. Apparently, the results of the election has no influence on many of these people. Look, Mayor Adams reached out to me, and I actually went to Mayor Adams. He understands it. And I think he realizes that we're taking it seriously. And
Eric Adams from New York reached out to you.
Reached out to me.
Good for him.
I went and sat down and met with him. He believes he should take public safety threats out of his communities, too. He's offering to help us. He's offering to let me in the Rikers Island jail. We've been kicked out of Rikers Island jail for years. Again, like Cook County, we used to arrest hundreds of illegal aliens with criminal convictions there. Eric Adams says he's going to go as far as writing an executive order to get us back in Rikers Island because he agrees with me that Mayor de Blasio did a lot of harm that affected the public safety in New York City. So he's getting a lot of pushback from the city council. I saw him the other day. He says, you can cancel me if you want, but this is the right thing to do for public safety in New Yorkers. He also said he will assist me in finding over the 300,000 missing children, which many are going to be in New York City.
Man, most will be in New York City, he says. Now, I'm just going to flip over to the next clip here. Just wanted to skip over some stuff. They get into more about what Tom Homan wants to do. And it is kind of crazy that people are standing against him, but we're going to get into that after. Let's go.
I can't believe any politician, left, right, middle, would want to put these officers at risk when there was a better way to do this. When I first started in this game back in the 1980s, I never heard a word of sanctuary city. We got in every county jail. Everybody worked. I can't believe we're at the time now. My father was a cop. My grandfather was a cop.
Your grandfather was a cop?
Yeah, I knew I was going to be a cop.
Where were they cops?
In upstate New York. So in my day, cops were respected. Police officers were respected. Now you fast forward now, and these politicians, if you enforce the law, all of a sudden you become the bad guy. And if you break the law, you're the victim. That's truly the way it is in some of these cities.
It's weird that Republicans put up with that acts of insurrection. I mean, they've been yammering about the insurrection of January 6th, but a sanctuary city is a bold, unequivocal move toward insurrection. You're saying I'm not obeying federal law. And no one did anything about it. They made fun of them on Fox News, but they didn't send the 101st Airborne. I don't understand why.
President Trump's going to take a hard stance. I think he'll take one of the things, take their federal funding away. I think that's going to bring a lot of people to the table because they need that money. And plus, I think it gets down to if they impede, if they knowingly harbor, I think we need to prosecute members. And, I said this when I was ICE director, that they need to be held accountable, and DOJ needs to look at criminal prosecution. Of course, the media went crazy. Homan's calling to lock up politicians. What I called for is DOJ. If I'm not an attorney, but I, as an agent, many years ago, I've arrested United States citizens for knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien in their home. I arrested a U.S. citizen for harboring, concealing an illegal alien in the place of business. If I can arrest a U.S. citizen for violating those crimes, why can't I arrest a mayor or a governor who's given his staff explicit instructions to impede us and to hide from us? I mean, the mayor Adams came around and said he would have a police force at the city boundaries preventing us from coming in, right? That was one of the comments he made. Now, he's walked them back because he made a statement he's willing to go to jail. And I responded, well, I'm willing to put you in jail if that's what it comes to. I'm not looking for a fight with these people, but I'm not going to run away from one either. We're going to enforce this law. We're going to do what the American people wants us to do. We're going to enforce the law. We're going to run this deportation operation. If you don't want to help, get the hell out of the way. But if you impede us, then we need to prosecute these people and send a message. This is no longer acceptable to anybody. Should never have been acceptable, but under the Trump administration, we're not playing that game.
Yeah, because the country, it's not even about, on some level, immigration. It's about holding the country together. If parts of the country decide we're just not following the federal laws because we don't feel like it, then how is it a country?
Laken Riley would be alive today if we had a better relationship in New York City. She was arrested. A killer was arrested in New York City for injury to a child. If we had the relationship we used to have, they would have turned him over to ICE. ICE would have detained him and removed him.
Yeah.
But instead, he went to Georgia and killed
Murdered
a
a girl.
And, you know, if President Trump was president, he wouldn't even be in the United States. He'd be in Mexico, and the Remain in Mexico program would have never been released into the United States. Given a free hotel, given a monthly stipend for food and expenses.
Free cell phone, airplane tickets.
It's just incredible where we're at today, but I got full confidence in myself and in President Trump, and I'm working very close with Steve Miller, brilliant, the architect of the most successful border policy this country ever had.
What's his position going to be?
He's the deputy chief of staff.
Yep.
I'm a senior advisor to the president. Term border czar, not my term, but that's what they're nicknamed it. But I can guarantee you, Tucker, and to your listeners, this border czar is going to do a hell of a lot better than the last border czar. I've already been to the border 3 times, and I'm not even in office yet.
I cannot resist.
Amazing. This border czar is going to do a lot better than the last one. Oh, man. But is he going to be able to wash collard greens in a bathtub like the former border czar? I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. You know? Also, will he be able to switch races on demand? I mean, I don't know. Hopefully he can, you know? Very, very cool stuff. I like this guy so much. And the thing about it is, you know, one thing that he said about the people who break the law nowadays, they're the victims. And, you know, that goes right along because he always cites that it's actually a law. Like, he knows the exact law. I can't recite it like he can. But he's like, the second that you step into the country, the second that you decide that you're just stepping in and you're not allowed in, you're illegally crossing, you've broken a law. That's how it goes. And we've made them the victims. And also what came to mind when he said that right away was AOC, when people were looting and smashing things. She was like, maybe they need money for bread, like instantly making them the victim. It's a weird leftist mentality where the people who commit crime are the victims. But it's like a leftist mentality, but also I'm Christian, but I'm not one of those guys that has everything memorized, but there's something where it's like, woe to those that something about say things that are good are actually evil and things that are evil are good, you know, basically just inverting things. That's just happening so much nowadays. So much, you know, everything that is bad or morally corrupt is seen as good. Everyone who should be, you know, a criminal is put on a pedestal. I mean, from the Epstein list to the Diddy list to the looters to the rioters to the guy who murders a CEO, like all these people are for some reason heroes to be looked up to. And if you say anything different, it's like, oh, you're just this weird conspiracy theorist. It's an odd thing going on. Let's move on. A little more Tom here. Really quick, this is him actually calling out the mayor of Boston, I believe. I didn't even know she had a problem. It's so weird how they come out of the woodwork with these issues about him just wanting to deport people. They're saying criminals. It's not like he's like, hey, everybody, kids, give me the kids who are illegal immigrants. He's not even saying it. He's saying criminals. Let's start there and let's work from there. He's being very reasonable. When you hear him on Tucker Carlson and not in little snippets on mainstream media, he's extremely reasonable. Listen to this.
What I just said is President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities? I mean, that's their number one responsibility, is to protect their communities. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So she helps us, she gets the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. And look, there's a clear line here, and they can't cross a clear line. I would suggest she read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III, that says, you can't harbor or conceal an illegal alien from front of law enforcement officers. So I hope she don't cross that line. They can not cooperate, but there are certain laws in place that they can't cross, and I hope she doesn't cross it. But
now Homan says
that's amazing. So this is what he was actually. There it is. What's this video? How do you say that? Nurkish.tv. I've been following this guy for a while. I've been following him since he had like no subscribers. Now he's at like 67,000. He's getting up there, but he's a solid source as well. Very conservative seeming. I've only seen a few videos, but Boston Mayor Michelle Wu vows to defy Trump's mass deportation push. Protect our residents. It's crazy. I thought for sure it was going to be people standing up. I was like, it's going to be the same thing as BLM. They're going to call on those people, those protesters, those professional protesters, and they're going to come out of the woodwork and start doing things. I did not see for a second that it would be mayors and governors thinking that they can do this. You have Gavin Newsom here. I have it really big there, but if you just read it as I move along, Gavin Newsom says he's going to Trump-proof California state laws. So Gavin's trying to stand up to them, trying to make it so they can't take the criminals. Like, Tom's asking for criminals, and they're like, no, you can't have the criminals. Those criminals just want bread. How dare you? Here's some more of Tom.
he was suing the sanctuary city.
All right, slow it down. Slow it down there, Colin. Come on. You know better than that.
They sued the sanctuary cities pulling federal funds. Of course, day one, when Joe Biden came in office, he stopped that lawsuit. So that has to be put back in place. And look, I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. So if we can't get assistance from New York City, and we may have to double the number of agents we send in New York City, because we're going to do the job. We're going to do the job without you or with you. But it's much easier to arrest a bad guy. Like I just said, we're concentrating on public safety threats of human and national security threats. Right. It's much easier to arrest a bad guy in the jail. Give us access to Rikers Island that we've been kicked out of. Let us get the bad guy in jail. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. It's safer for the community. But if we're going to release Trump,
it's very interesting that they won't even do that, because that seems to be the most reasonable stance. Like, let's just go to a jail where a guy has committed a violent offense, and we're just going to take him, and he's going to go back to his country. And I don't understand, when did that stop happening? With the terrible case of Laken Riley, and the young woman who was also just passed away at the hands of an illegal immigrant. When did it stop happening that if you were illegal and you committed a crime, you didn't leave? I thought they left for the most trivial things. I thought like too many traffic stops. It's like, you got to go. I thought it got to that. I thought it was at that point. I didn't realize you could just do whatever. You could beat up a police officer in New York and give middle fingers as you're leaving the precinct. I had when did it get to that? Was it always like that? I don't know. I haven't been clued in forever, but I always just assumed. And you'd hear people who, at least maybe I'm thinking of legal immigrants, they would be very wary. They would be like, I don't want to break the law. I don't want to do anything wrong because they'll send me back. But, I remember growing up around people who got deported because they did things. And that was it. You're getting deported. And sometimes they'd be able to come back. Sometimes somehow they would figure it out, come back, a certain amount of time passed. I don't know. But nowadays, you got these weird mayors, these weird governors who just want to pretty much keep them forever. It's so wild. Oh, is this the timeline? I think I got a little timeline here. Oh, this is him just talking about making politicians accountable. which is something that really needs to happen, especially if, like Tucker said, they're going to be breaking federal law and, doing this whole insurrection thing that they've been so up in arms about for so long.
Yeah. So you will not only go after the illegal migrants, you may go after some mayors who aren't helping?
If they step over that line, they can sit back and watch us, which I find incredible. You don't want to take public safety threats out of your community and help us. But there are laws on the books that we will prosecute. It's 18 U.S.C. 111, impeding a federal law enforcement officer is a felony. Title 8 United States Code 1324 III. If you knowingly conceal or harbor an illegal alien from ICE, that is a felony. When I was an agent a long time ago, I've arrested U.S. citizens for harboring an alien in their home or place of employment. If I can do it to a citizen, why can't I do it to a politician who's going to actively get in our way, prevent us from doing our job?
Yeah. So you...
Man, I like the fact that this guy's like, I don't care if they're a mayor. Who cares? They don't want to work with us? Okay, arrest them. Can we just arrest them? Here he is talking about Eric Adams as well. And then we're going to go through the brief timeline of the one mayor who thought, I'm going to go to jail over this. This is going to look great on my TikTok. Got a young mayor. Thought he could stand up to this guy. But we'll listen to that after.
The Democratic mayor in New York, Eric Adams, a former cop, is ready to work with you.
I hope so, because I've just been notified he wants to sit down and meet with me. I'm willing to meet with him. I'm willing to meet with anybody to help make their community safer. Because, again, prioritization out of the gate is public safety threats. Work with us on that. It makes your community safer. It keeps my officers safe. It keeps the community safe. Let's work together and get this done.
When's that meeting happen?
I haven't responded yet, but I'll respond this week.
Okay, we'll be in touch with you and him. The Democratic...
Just so you know, the images that you're seeing on the screen as they're talking, this is actually in Aurora, where they actually took over 3 apartment complexes. And this was the regular tactic of just their day-to-day, and just knock on a door, open up. They would just go inside, extort the people, probably take some stuff, take some money, maybe even worse. And they were just doing that from apartment to apartment. And it got to the point where they were doing it to other illegal immigrants, other immigrants and legal immigrants. They just do it to whoever. These people aren't, they're not, in the words of AOC, just looking for bread. That's not what they're doing. They are a structured, a legal force, a gang force, a guerrilla warfare style gang force that will take over apartment buildings and have. It's the weirdest thing. Eric Adams, I'm gonna do a whole episode on Eric Adams, but he spoke up against the whole thing of sanctuary cities, and he said this is going to destroy the city. He spoke up against what the Biden administration wanted because of votes. I don't know. Some people say that, not me. Other people with like tinfoil Speedos running around, they've been saying that, not me though. And then as soon as he did that, all of a sudden he gets indicted. Now all of a sudden he's facing jail time. But then he goes to Trump's the correspondent dinner where Trump is there. Kamala Harris didn't show up. Trump did. Trump says, you're going to be all right. They came after you. I knew they were going to come after you. He goes, you're going to be all right. And now that Trump got elected, all of a sudden, Eric Adams has done this major flip. I'm going to talk about that a little more in another episode. But it's just interesting to see, you know. This is the mayor. Oh, look at him. Oh, just so Justin Trudeau-esque. Oh, I hope this guy gets voted out. Good Lord. The Denver mayor, Mike Johnston, says he'll deploy cops, 50,000 volunteer citizens. Hey, just straight up involving 50,000 volunteers. You know they're all young. What are you doing? How irresponsible of this guy. So they can have a Tiananmen Square moment to stop President Trump's mass deportation plans. What is wrong with this guy? And what do you think Tom Homan had to say about this guy? Brushed it off like nothing. He's like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to put him in jail. Listen to this.
Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that.
Tom, you heard this mayor out there in...
Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that.
Tom, you heard this mayor out there in Colorado. I want to get your reaction to it. And I want you to be clear about who has jurisdiction, the federal government or state and local governments. And if you're a sanctuary state or city, are you breaking the law?
You're absolutely breaking law. All you have to do is look at Arizona versus U.S. You'll see these breaking the law. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute, it's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III, and what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also a felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And I find it shocking that any mayor of a city would say, President Trump's been clear. We want to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor would say they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Denver, but we're going to go and we're going to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, if you don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
It's so crazy because, Denver mayor, Colorado, this is the place where apartment buildings have been taken over. This man, for some reason, wants to defend people who are taking over apartment buildings. Again, I'm not, and this is how the media portrays it, I'm not saying every single illegal immigrant is doing that. Some of them are just sitting around pretty much being like, wow, this is pretty great. I just wake up every day. The food's here. I don't know. They say I'm not allowed to work. They keep giving me money. Some of them are probably just chilling and they're like, this is great. It's way too cold right now because they're in Denver, but they're like, other than that, this is fantastic. Some of them are probably like that. And there's a bunch that are straight up gang members and they're operating like gang members. And the fact that those are the ones he wants to defend and make it seem like he's defending those other ones that aren't doing anything is absolutely ridiculous. And even when I say not doing anything, those people are still taking a lot of American tax dollars. They really are, I know they're not looking for tax dollars. They didn't ask for American tax dollars, but that is what's happening. Now, this gentleman saw Tom Homan, had the same reaction as Joe Rogan, said, this guy seems really scary, and changed his tune real quick. Listen to this.
Those comments?
Yeah. What I wanted people to understand was the scale of what could be coming if we take the president at his word, which is I don't think anyone envisioned U.S. military troops being deployed in American streets to gather up women and children. But if that happens, I think it'll be a much more dramatic scene than people anticipated. That's what I was trying to establish. Would I have taken it back if I could? Yes, I probably wouldn't have used that image because that's an image I hope we can avoid. What I was trying to say is this is an outcome I hope we can avoid in this country. I think none of us want that. There is no North High School grad who signed up to be an Army Ranger who wants to come back to his hometown and round up his former high school students. No one wants to do that.
Those comments.
What's he even talking about? The moment he's talking about is the whole Tiananmen Square thing that he said because he thought he'd sound real cool. It's going to be like Tiananmen Square. I'm going to stand up to those tanks. Me and all my blue-haired friends, we're all going to stand up to tanks. Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Good that he walked it back. Hopefully he takes a little note from Eric Adams. He actually starts working with Tom because it just makes sense to do. And the last comparison of, someone having to come back and round up their high school, like it's just I don't know. It's so hard sometimes because I know so much about conspiracy because it's all very true, especially the stuff I'm talking about, World Economic Forum, Agenda 2030, the fact that so many people in the government on the left and the right have been co-opted by the World Economic Forum, have gone to the Young Global Leaders teachings, have been contributors and agenda contributors and all this stuff, and they attend, and there's so many, right? But then when you hear this guy, it's like, is he a part of that? Or is he just sucked into the left-wing indoctrination? Because that guy seems younger than I am, honestly. He seems younger than me. I can't tell anymore. It's all meshing together slowly. When you know so much, it all just meshes and congeals together, and you can't tell the blue-haired nose ring from the billionaire You just can't, it's just all mixed up and you can't tell who's a Soros and who's just a guy. And you're just like, this is all gross. It's just like one big Jabba the Hutt of just crazy left-wing radical attitude. And you're like, what is this? This guy's defending people who take over apartment buildings. What's going on? Because when you hear that, you're like, oh, this guy has to be doing this maliciously. But when you look at the guy, you're like, oh, he looks like a nice guy, head of hair on him. Is that what he's doing? But then you're like, yeah, that's how they all look. It's just, it gets hard, man. You want to take off your tinfoil Speedo. You want to take it off because it chafes. It chafes. It's hard. It's hard to walk around everyday life with that thing on. But then you hear something like this and you're like, oh, well, I got to keep it on. And I got to check if this guy has any links to Klaus Schwab. And now I have to do that. What's his name? Mike Johnston? Yeah, we have to do that now. Here, Mike Johnston. I used to do this a whole lot. Mike Johnston, World Economic Forum. You got to check. Is that him? Oh, good Lord. Is that him? Mike Johnston? Is that the same guy? Mike Johnson, background in engineering, physics. No, this guy, Kansas. Michael J. Johnston. No, is this him? Let's see here. Okay, it's not him. It's some other guy. Okay. All right. Take the tinfoil Speedo off for a second. All right, it's not him. We're all good. Let's it's just too much sometimes, but let's step into the normal world because some pretty amazing stuff's going on there. This is a meeting at a council meeting, I guess you could say, a town hall of sorts in Chicago, where the residents are actually calling for Donald Trump and Tom Homan. Now, this is amazing because the residents are saying we need those two, and their mayor, Brandon Johnson, another Johnson, is saying, no. We're going to defy them and we're going to keep the illegal immigrants, which is crazy because not only do the residents hate it, I've done videos on this. There's been so many reports of violence and intimidation, and these guys have guns and they have cars and they're filling up parking spots that are meant for residents, urinating on residents' lawn. I'm not making that up. I am not a bigot. That is an actual thing that Chicago residents are reporting happening to them, and they don't feel safe in their own communities. And then you have the mayor. Again, you're just like, this guy has to be Klaus Schwab's brother. Because the mayor's just like, we're going to keep all those guys. It's like, are you trying to terrorize your citizens? Let me just play the clip. I'm getting into TED Talk mode. I got to take myself out of it, okay?
On illegal immigrants here in Chicago, Illinois since 2022. Now, you still feel like you have to harbor these illegals, which is not a good idea. And in my personal opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to challenge Tom Homan on this because he's trying to clean up our cities, Mr. Brandon Johnson. Now, let me just remind everybody here that Brandon Johnson is terrible with the budget. How is this $40 million credit line is going to work exactly? Because the key word is credit. So how much will we be using from this $40 million? And the real question is, how much will we be paying back? Now, you want to sit here, you and J.B. Pritzker want to puff out your chest and fight Tom Homan. We need Tom Homan here in Chicago. We need Donald Trump. And I don't want to see people like Pam Bundy and Cash Patel, haul you up out of here and become prosecuted. I don't want to see that happen. But they will do their job if they have to, Brandon Johnson. Now, we are $1 billion in debt. That's absolutely insane. Kamala Harris, she spent $1 billion on her campaign less than a year, and she's $20 million in debt. So it's looking like Democrats are bad with money. Now, you ignored me for 10 to 15 seconds last time I was speaking, and I really did not appreciate that at all. But I got a Christmas present for you. Let's remind the people of Chicago that Brandon Johnson spent $32,000 in campaign funds on haircuts and makeup. So I got an early Christmas present for you, Brandon Johnson. This is some makeup for you right here. You got some rouge, you got the makeup brush right there, so you can save this people some money, for crying out loud. Now, let me tell you people, I'm going to be serious here. We need to start voting different in these cities like New York and Chicago. Stop voting these people in. It's not Democrat versus Republican anymore. It is populist versus establishment. It is the populist versus the establishment. Stop letting them trick you into the race baiting when it comes to Brandon Johnson. Oh, black people need help too. Trump want to hurt black people. What are you talking about? We're legal here. We are legal. Now, I'm trying to be nice about this, and Mr. Brandon Johnson, I do respect you in a little bit of way because you're trying the best that you can. I really want to believe that, but listen, man, you got a 14% approval rating, so the people is looking like they're telling you that you're fired, man.
This is crazy. This is wild. This guy brought up Kash Patel. He said, I don't want to have Kash Patel take you out of here and prosecute you. Could be down the line, depending on what pops up with this gentleman. I mean, there's been a lot of wild spending with this type of guy, and Kash Patel does want the FBI to be the type to just go out and catch criminals in political positions and otherwise, once again, and not be pointed at the general population and trying to take away rights and whatnot. But very interesting. People in Chicago are really waking up. It's beautiful to see. There's even somebody behind him wearing a Trump hat that I can see there. And it's just, yeah, it's wild to see that type of thing, that they actually want Tom Homan. See, and that's the type of stuff, that's why I always make these videos, because that's the type of stuff I like to actually show. You never see MSNBC be like, well, this is what we saw in this town hall when it comes to Chicago, because you can't have MSNBC show you Joy Reid and how she's telling you white people are evil and how black people are so oppressed, and then all of a sudden have this guy from Chicago be like, we need Tom Homan and Donald Trump. You just can't have the two there. They can't coexist. So they never show this type of stuff. But this is the type of stuff you need to see. You know, Tom Homan, he said it even in the clip, he's catching a lot of hate and a lot of death threats and things of that nature. And this is what the actual people who are being affected by illegal immigration, by the crisis, by the border crisis, this is what they actually want. They want this badly. Their money's being used up. It's being flashed in their face. You know, he's talking about a 40 million line of credit. Before that, Brendan Johnson took about $53 million out of a fund that was meant for families who were the victim of the opioid crisis. So it's like funeral costs and getting clean, things like that. That's what this fund was for. It was $70 million, I believe. He took out 53 and put it into illegal immigration. It's crazy what's been going on. $1 billion in debt. It's crazy. And then he has the nerve to turn around and say, I'm going to keep these illegal immigrants here. I am going to protect them. It's just wild. You know, like, virtue signaling only works when, you know, as a mayor, when everybody in the town, in the city goes along with it. It doesn't work. You have to read the room. You know, Eric Adams seems like he read the room. He was like, oh, New York hates me. Okay. Why? Oh, the immigrants. Okay, we can get rid of them. You guys like that? Like, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. It sounds cold, but he's reading the room. You know, I hate the decisions that Eric Adams has made over the past. I've covered it extensively over the past year and a half. He's made such terrible decisions, not even to do with immigration. You know, trying to get people to get rid of gas stoves, trying to get people in his city to become vegans, trying to implement police officers that are robots. Like, he's made so many terrible decisions. But right now, he's making a good one. He's making a good one, working with Trump, working with Tom Homan. That's great. Hopefully that trend keeps up. He keeps making good decisions. But you can't virtue signal when everybody else is saying one thing and you're just like, immigrants? It's like in Canada. Out in Canada, The Canadians will be like, I will never be able to afford a home. And Justin Trudeau's like, listen, I hear you. I'm going to send $5 billion to Ukraine. And everybody's like, what? Oh my God. Old people just falling over. They don't have medication. And he's like, and we're going to throw a pride parade. Everybody's like, this is not what we wanted. They're so out of touch. These politicians are so out of touch. It's crazy. All you have to do is just ask them what they want. And they're just going to say food. They're just going to say economy. They're just going to say, I need to not have the pressure of having to work 2 and 3 jobs. Just handle that. If a politician just did that, he would be so loved. If a mayor just focused on that as much as he could within his power, they'd be good. But they can never do that for some reason. And that's what makes me just put on the tinfoil Speedo and say, these guys are doing this on purpose. You have to be. It's so simple to ask people what they want. Anyway, let's get into the last video here. Just a quick one. Tom Homan. Caitlin Collins. Handsome lady she is.
I don't have a number. We want to arrest as many people as we can that are in the country illegally, again, based on prioritization. We want to arrest every criminal, every gang member that's here illegally that's a public safety threat. We want to arrest every fugitive, those who had due process at great taxpayer expense and have an ordered deportation but didn't leave and became a fugitive. We got over 1.5 million of those. And look, we got millions of people here illegally. I've said if you're here illegally, you're not off the table. I mean, it's a violation of law. It's a crime to enter this country illegally. And after we give you
but
due
you don't have a
process,
number that you'd like to see. One year from tonight, you don't have a number that you'd like to say, this many people have been deported on my watch.
No, I don't have a number. I want to arrest as many people as we can with the resources we have. Want to be the most efficient we can based on prioritization. There's no limit. I don't have.
This guy's like, no, there's no limit. How many? Is there a number that you're looking to get? He said, I don't know. How many you got? How many you got inside your building? All them. How many in your city? All them. How many in that state over there? Where are you? You in New York? All of them. Where are you? Denver? All. Bring them. Bring them. Don't worry. We got planes. Don't worry. Just everybody. Don't worry. Yeah, Russia, China, Mexico, whatever. Just bring them all. Bring them all. English, I don't care. I don't even care if they have IDs. Just bring them. They don't speak English. Get them over here. There's no limit. There's another clip that I thought I was going to play just now where she goes, oh, when are you going to start doing this? Because, a lot of people say day 1, day 100. And he's like, day 1. He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you say you're going to start day 1, but what day is it actually? He's like, day 1. He's like, who are you talking to? You know who I am? I've been working this job longer than you've been alive. Day 1, obviously. And honestly, I can't wait to see it all in action. Honestly, before Tom Homan was involved, I thought this was going to look very terrible because it's the image of, Trump. Trump didn't have Tom Homan in mind at a certain point. So he was just talking about getting the National Guard, sending them into cities. And I was like, wow, that's going to look like martial law. That's not going to look good. But Tom Homan's come in and he knows how everything works. So he's just like, okay, we're just going to do this. We're just going to send team. We're just going to go after the criminals first, go to jails where they'll let us. We'll just take those people. Like he's doing it very, very intelligently. As much as he's a very blunt force, he's doing it very intelligently. You got to respect it. I can't wait to see it all start to happen, especially for the cities like Aurora, where, apartment complexes have been taken over. The other places where there's been apartment complexes taken over, it just needs to happen. The streets in New York, there's so many gang members right now. There's enough gang members that guys are doing videos and they're just like, hey, you. It's like they're just finding them on the street because you can just tell who they are. It's crazy. It needs to stop. It really needs to stop. It has Americans in a chokehold, which makes me put on my tinfoil Speedo again, because the philosophy is destabilization, demoralization, crisis normalization. That's the state that they like to put you in. So the destabilization, have as many people just come out of nowhere and they're taking resources from you. The demoralization, you start realizing that they're being looked after better than you ever have, and you're still in poverty or still struggling, and they seem to have a better shot at everything than you do. And then the crisis becomes exactly what's happening now. And then while you're in crisis, you starve for normalization, and then someone comes in and says, I will normalize everything for you. I mean, right now, they're hoping that right now what's happening is Trump is going to bring that normalization through Tom Homan, but they're trying to make you believe that this is actually a terrible thing and it's actually the crisis. They're bringing you the solution and they're trying to make you think that it's the crisis that's being brought to you. That it's a very tricky game that they play. Anyway, let me take this tinfoil Speedo off. I'm chafing here. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.